Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to the new 26 this week. Loaded, loaded, loaded. That's what this episode is. That's what my schedule looks like. Loaded. Ever since we met Spike and found out in Cutie Mark Chronicles that he was pretty much abandoned, I've always wondered where his actual family is. And even 8 seasons in, we're still kind of wondering. The episode Father Knows Best doesn't answer this question. But it helps grow Spike and cement Spike in some ways. But the main anchor of the episode and the big conflict in the second half are really going to be points of contention here. So, let me back up and give you guys the plot synopsis. A dragon drops in on Ponyville. A dragon by the name of Sledge. Sledge alleges that he is Spike's father and even comes up with an elaborate story to prove why Spike was abandoned. You can tell almost right away that first clue that this guy wasn't all that he was cracked up to be. But he promises to teach Spike really how to be a dragon. What that amounts to is being lazy. Now, yes, sitting in a cave doing nothing on a big pile of gems is something we've seen dragons do. Dragons are kind of lazy, but that's not all that they are. Proven by another clever use of smolder. See, once again, the Student 6 show their massive impact on this season and why this season is better for it. But Spike, thinking that this guy is his dad and hoping for some parental guidance, follows him almost to the letter. What follows is this moral, and this is kind of a deep one. That no matter how you were raised, no matter what kind of species you are, no matter what kind of person you are who you are. You are who you were raised by, the culture you're in, and that's okay. Just because you don't understand any side of your culture doesn't mean, one, that you shouldn't try to learn it, or that, two, it's necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes finding out the truth about what your actual culture is can be more alarming and dangerous and negative for you. And in the case of adopted kids, well, this is where this episode gets kind of tricky. If you're adopted, or if you have had the unfortunate circumstance of having one of your parents abandon you in a divorce, or just not be around, this episode is a gut punch and not in the most positive of ways. Sledge is sadly the example, even though he's not a dad per se, but Sledge is the example of somebody whose parent has come back into their life, wanting to do positive things at first, but upon looking at your new life, might want to take advantage of it because it's easier. There are those people in life that just want to mooch off of people, and it's a very negative thing. Moochers never really get anywhere. They never really accomplish anything. And for some parents, it's like that. Out of sight, out of mind sometimes. But especially when you're adopted, you don't know anything. You'll trust anyone is your parent if they say they are. Because you want that companionship, you want that love, you want that care, and that's correct of you. But it's not where you come from. It's not who your parents are or aren't. It's how you conduct yourself. It's how you live. It's the person that you have become due to the people you are with. And this episode also takes a stab at masculinity by having Sledge through the use of a song try to, and they actually use the term here, a term that we've used in the fandom plenty of times, depunify Spike by trying to make him a lazy, selfish, good for nothing that is waited on by End and Claw and sleeps outside apparently with not any warm pillows or doing crochet. And it's due to this song, which, yes, the song musically is acceptable, but the words are just so negative in their delivery and influence to this episode. It's one of those Spike's gonna follow this guy because naive a little boy in hopes of attention, and that's just exploitative given the situation of the episode at hand here. Yes, we know Spike can be a naive and sometimes bratish little dragon that can do things for attention and go to extremes to get it. But sometimes I swear, and I'm not the only reviewer that feels this way, that sometimes they exploit the little dude in such humiliating ways, and this song followed up by this argument, this line that Spike uses against my beloved wife. Oh, honey, I want to give you a hug. I so do. And the animators do a good job at literally showing Twilight's heartbreaking. It's a small thing, but it drives the point home. Twilight has tried, regardless of the lack of information, lack of culture, and lack of, well, being around dragons to raise this dragon as best she could. She's pseudo mother. And she has done a fine job. But to have that line be said and have that reaction happen, and you'll know it when you see it, you sympathize with Twilight. And you're angry with Spike. Which is the total negative and the total just out of nowhere stupid tone shift that this episode takes. The first part of the episode, you're so optimistic for Spike to finally get answers. Then when Spike does this, you want to take the little dragon out to pasture. And then in the third act, when Sledge finally reveals himself as a liar, you feel sympathetic, you feel sad, you feel, as the viewer and as Spike, both robbed of answers, robbed of clarity, robbed of sense. But then you look at Spike's actions, you understand, but you're still pseudo angry, and it's a bother. But at the end of the episode, Twilight does say something that has me intrigued for season 9. Are we actually going to go on a search for Spike's actual parents? I hope and pray we do. Because this character needs that closure. Just like anybody who's had a mom or dad abandon them at birth for whatever reason. People of that type need that closure. They need those answers, and they don't need to have the wool pulled over their heads because of it. This episode is tragic in a lot of ways. And tragic not in the sense that it doesn't deliver a good moral. It does. And it reaffirms that Twilight is essentially his mom, and shows that she could be a great mom at the end of the day. And Smolder's inclusion just makes Smolder a stronger character here, and totally likable. And yes, I'll even say it, I would totally ship it. But everything else is just so exploitative, so and this episode made me feel all kinds of uncomfortable, and My Little Pony should never make somebody feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable as it may be, it's not as fun or as entertaining a watch as last week, but this 3 out of 6 does get you asking great analytical questions, gets you a great moral, and shows some characters at their strongest, but also shows some characters at their weakest, most notably Spike. And I am sick and tired of having Spike having to go through this emotional, physical ringer. Enough already. The little guy has already gone through enough. The Sledge character shows you some of the positives of what a dad could be in the first act, but quickly turns around to being totally malicious, which sometimes fathers are like that, sadly, but that is not something that this show should really be doing. But it's necessary to get the strength of the moral across. With that said, what are your thoughts on Father Knows Best? Do you agree with me on this? Next week, it's the finale. How will season 8 end? The most successful season rating wise that I've done. Let's hope it ends super strong. But after this, I need a pick me up. And there's so much more work to do and so much of my voice you will hear. But I hope you will stick with me and find peace in your own nirvana. We'll get through all of it. Trust me.